Overview of sharp force damage. Key factors, analytical approaches, reconstruction methods, and future directions for standardization in forensic investigations. So in this paper, we're talking about forensic cases, especially in places like New Zealand and Australia where firearms are restricted, and therefore the only other weapon choice is knives. But what is a sharp force damage? A sharp force injury is an injury caused by stabbing, cutting, or a chopping action caused by an individual. There are many things that can influence how this sharp force injury looks like, and the main one is the type of blade. As the picture shows, there are many types of blades, and not all of them are depicted here. These ones are the most common ones found in forensic cases. And since they all look different, they are gonna have different marks. They are gonna leave different marks on the body. But that's not the only thing that can influence the shape of these injuries. The body parts that it's been hit also influences it. The clothing or the motion itself, how is the person hitting the other person? Is it an overarm attack or an underarm attack? But also, how is the person extracting the knife from the body, the weapon withdrawn? Or the stabbing angle, is it different from the weapon withdrawing angle? How fast is the person hitting the other person? How much force is the person putting it in? So all these things can influence how the injury looks like, and therefore we need to establish a new method, a new model, so we can all be consistent with our data. The paper mainly focused on tissue and textile damage, and they used two approaches to get data. The manual construction, which is the human approach, and the mechanical method. For the human approach, they had volunteers mimic the stabbing motion in front of sensors that captured velocity and force of impact. And while these results were consistent, they weren't able to create a model based on those because the data varied from individual to individual too much and it wasn't statistically important. The mechanical method, on the other hand, was the complete opposite. They had controlled variables and their repeatability was great, but that made it not realistic. A human cannot reproduce the same motion exactly as the first one. So overall, this paper was focusing on trying to find a standard to analyze crime scene consistently. Because right now in the field of forensic science, there's not a model that people are following to analyze crime scenes, and therefore these results are not consistent within each other. So this paper was both a cry of help and a new study, so new discoveries on this, because they did find kind of patterns with the stabbing wounds and what they looked like, but at the same time, they couldn't create a model good enough to fit the data. Therefore, not only the stabbing motion and what the knife looks like, what the wound looks like, but many other factors are implied in what this field is trying to analyze, and therefore this paper was trying to focusing on find this standard that can fit it all. Thanks for watching.